The last one is neglect, which is physical. We can take the form of physical, mental, and spiritual neglect. What you got to say about that, baby? You got anything to say about that?
I just think we've seen plenty of all three. We've seen plenty of all three, and it's really sad. And it's almost like you try to warn people and people don't listen. That's another thing dealing with maturity, when someone won't listen when you're trying to give them advice or, direct them in the right direction.
Yeah, in the context of continuing dating in the marriage, physical neglect, as we talked about earlier, refraining yourself from your partner.
Yeah.
Mental neglect, just simply being negative or being contrary or being disparaging or being abusive in your wording and your language can cause a person to become very
or even ignoring
the
other person.
Ignoring the other person can cause the person to lose their what I call the light in their eye. The light goes out and the person just checks out. Spiritually as well, when there is no spiritual element to a relationship, there's no healthy relationship with God, or there's spiritual abuse, where a person is using the Bible
to manipulate
another person. And that person, that spiritual abuse is spiritual neglect, because the person is being neglected the true value of what a true relationship with God through His Word, which regulates the relationship between a spouse and the other person. They're not getting that. And so there's a void that's left there as well. Just neglect in general, I'm trying to think of some examples, but whenever you don't do what you're supposed to do, or what is supposed to be done is not done, it opens up a place for the enemy. Wherever there's a void, the enemy is going to fill in. And, he's like water. He'll take you to the lowest place. Water always goes to the lower place. And if there's any cracks or anything like that, it'll make it worse.
That's right.
And so you have to be conscious of, are there needs that I am responsible for as a spouse that is not being met? Let me put it this way. You are responsible for telling your wife how beautiful she is, how valuable she is, how much you love her, what a good mother she is. Wives, you are responsible for honoring your husband. You are responsible for supporting him. You are responsible for encouraging him. When those things don't take place, you're leaving that person open and vulnerable, but at the same time, that person can't develop properly.
Right.
And that's why I think the process of dating throughout marriage, it facilitates those things. You have to be intentional in doing those things, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah, you do.
All right, down to the last point. How to revive a dying marriage. Now, we've talked about a lot of the things that can be problems. So, baby, if you could read off the first one.
Do the things that cause the marriage to culminate.
Period. This is the thing why I don't understand why people don't continue to date, because you did it before. It's not like it's something outside of your ability.
Right.
The reason why, fellas, she married you is because you dated her at some level, or some for some period of time, unless it was an arranged marriage. But we're talking about what's most common to our audience, that there was a process that you went through where you proved
That you were serious.
that you were serious about taking her as your spouse. Women, you did what was necessary to show this man your value and what he was getting and why you were worth it. This is why when we talk to people or we're counseling and there's a problem where a person doesn't do these things anymore, it's not due to inability. There's a refusal to do it.
Right. One of the things that I will always remember, this older lady who was in ministry, her and her husband pastored, and she spoke to me and some other ladies and told us, and she was probably, this was a long time ago, but she was probably in her 60s back then. And she said, ladies, always do what's necessary to keep your husband's attention.
Amen. That's wisdom.
Don't assume or don't stop doing the things that you did to get his attention. Always continue to do it. And your age does not matter. Just because you get older does not mean you stop taking care of yourself and stop doing things to look attractive or to keep his attention.
Yeah, get some lingerie. Do your hair.
Yes.
Put on
Makeup, nails, whatever.
If those were things that took place early in the marriage, just because 10 years have passed,
Right.
don't mean that your husband doesn't like that.
Right.
I mean, you have to think. Men are very visual, and that's why I think if ladies, if you can, if there's not some medical reasons or whatever, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If your husband says this looks nice on you, don't make that the last time that you wear it. Try your best to please him in the sense that in the ability that you have to do that. Likewise, men, if you started out during the dating process telling her how beautiful she was, and then once you got married, what a good wife that she is. Just because you've been married for 10 years doesn't mean that she doesn't want to know that she's still beautiful and that she's a good wife. You got children, that she's a good mother. I mean, do the things that you did to get to that place.
That's right.
Some women ain't seen no flowers since they were dating. The flowers done stopped. The candies done stopped. The surprises done stopped.
And not just on your birthday
Not
or
just
Valentine's Day.
Not just on your birthday. Y'all just grinding.
Yeah.
Y'all just grinding together. And it's more of a reciprocal arrangement. As long as it's beneficial, we'll keep it.
That's not.
If you're dating right, the business could fail. Even somebody's health could fail. If you've been dating right, that person, whatever that ailment is, will still know.
Yes.
I'm still loved. I'm still appreciated and valued. My husband ain't going anywhere. My wife ain't going anywhere.
That's right.
In the sense that not that they don't have no options or are trapped. It's just that we done developed this life together and value of one another, that I don't have to worry about that.
That's right.
I can deal with the problems that I got to deal with, but that does not have to be one of the problems.
That's right.
And so dating, doing what you did to get to the place of marriage, doing the things you did earlier on to grow the marriage, and just continuing to do those things.
That's right.
What's the next one, baby?
The next one is to return to the basics.
Return to the basics. We kind of mentioned that in the previous one, but return to the basics. Being kind to one another. Like we were talking about, some type of physical contact, holding hands, kiss the other person, look them in the eye, say thank you, love you, basic stuff.
Appreciate them.
I appreciate this. Do you know we've been married for over 32 years and I still thank my wife for every meal?
He does.
I do. If I've already thanked her and I don't
Remember.
if I don't remember, I'll come back in and say, baby, did I say thank you for the meal? I mean, that, like I said, I try to continue to date because she don't have to. I mean, if it boiled down, she a grown woman. She could say, do you know what? I'm ordering out every night. You get to eat, don't you? Yeah. But I recognize she takes the time. She plans the meals. She goes to the grocery store. She orders everything that she gets everything that's necessary for those. That takes time and consideration. I recognize she does that because she wants to prepare a meal for her family. At least I could say after all of that is thank you after she done spent time preparing it. And it's good. Tastes good. Thank you. Basics, just basic stuff. What's the next one, baby?
Taking care of oneself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Ties into the very first one that we were talking about and the second one, the basics. Doing the things that cause the marriage to culminate. One of the things that, and I'm going to allow you to talk to the women concerning not letting themselves go and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that with any of the women that's watching. But for the men, take care of yourself. Don't walk around your hair all undone, your face all unshaven. Look, if she married somebody that was kempt, that dressed nice, that was conscientious of how he looked, how he smelled, I mean, it's amazing. Women have children, so their bodies automatically go through some transformation. There's some men that look like they had children and they had no children, and that creates a problem in a lot of people. Now, men are more visual, but women are visual too. They want to be proud of their man.
Yeah.
They want women who see her husband and say, I know why she married him. And so men, we have to do the exact same thing.
Take
Shower.
care of your body.
Yeah, shower. Put on some cologne, not too much, but put on some cologne. Get your hair cut. Keep yourself kempt. Whatever that is that
style, whatever your style, doesn't matter.
Whatever
you still need to do it.
Yeah, whatever your style was that your wife agrees to. Take care of yourself, men. Okay, now for the women.
Ladies, we need to take care of ourselves, not just for the fact that we're married. I mean, but just taking care of yourself, plain period, is a necessity. And when you don't take care of yourself, it does show that there is something that is not getting watered. It really does. It reflects.
I've seen some very attractive women that are unattractive. And what I mean by that is that there's no standard.
Yeah.
They don't take care of themselves. I'll go into the grocery store and a woman will walk in and she'll have her house slippers on and have some pajama pants on, have her hair in rollers or in a bonnet. And you're just like, come on now, baby girl. I mean, you
have to care about yourself to do something.
There's something broken in your perception of yourself.
Yes.
That you don't recognize that your appearance communicates something. And so, that's why you never want to, even when you're going through things, make sure that you do the best you can.
Yeah, taking care of yourself.
And especially when you have the ability to do it, don't get in the habit of not doing it, because it's a reflection of your inner self. What's on the outside communicates much about what's going on the inside.
That's right.
So take care of oneself. What's the next one, baby?
The last one is, the next one is taking care of one another.
Yes.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Let me say this to the men, that one of the things that I try to do, especially since better able to do it now, is to, when I hear my wife say she likes something, I take a note.
He does.
If I can't afford it right now, it's being planned for me to acquire it, to give it to her, because I want her to not have any needs, especially when she has communicated that she either has a need or there's something that she likes, especially if it's a need. I need this. She shouldn't have to remind me over and over and over, and then men see that as nagging. She don't know any other way than tell you, but to tell you. But so be conscious of taking care of one another. Always be looking for an opportunity to meet a need that your spouse has. I'll think about it. I'll say, baby, have you had your nails done in a while? I'll get her and my girls, send them all to the shop. I couldn't do that at first, but there were things, even when we were in those very difficult times, that I would pay attention to, that I would try to meet a need that she had, either was implicitly stated or expressly stated. So taking care of one another.
The last one is rebuilding the foundations of trust, affection, love, care, support, and prioritizing one another.
So we're talking about how to revive a dying marriage. So far we talked about do the things that cause the marriage to culminate, return to the basics, taking care of oneself, taking care of one another, rebuilding the foundations of trust, affection, love, care, support, prioritizing one another. All of those things were there when you got married.
Yeah.
When you guys were dating, if those things weren't there, you didn't trust the other person. There was no affection. You didn't love the person or care for the other person. You didn't support the other person. You didn't prioritize the other person. Y'all wouldn't have got married.
Or shouldn't have got married.
Shouldn't got married. Yeah, that's true. Some people
Will still get married.
Yes, sometimes I've seen people get married simply on a physical basis.
Right.
And you can tell just shortly thereafter, their flesh caused them to get married. And so now, since the flesh was the reason why they got married, they don't even know how to date, because dating was flesh.
Right.
And now that you're married and you're confined to one flesh, if the person is that carnal, they're not going to be satisfied with one person.
That's right.
If they didn't see no value in you outside of that, there's somebody who's going to come along. They got more muscles, they got this or that, and is younger or in better shape or whatever, and the whole thing falls apart. This is why we have to, one, as I said before, date prior to truly date, trying to get to know one another for longevity's sake.
Right.
And then two, once you start dating, continue to do the things of trusting one another, developing trust, building trust, maintaining your affection, love for one another, care for one another, support of one another, prioritizing one another. And that's a foundation. If you continue to do those things as part of your marriage, and those things are being reinforced through the dating process throughout your marriage, you're going to have become a strong marriage.
That's right.
All right, so we're down to the very nitty gritty. Being consistent and regular in your watering in the three categories of watering mentioned earlier: emotional watering, physical watering, and spiritual watering, is a key to a strong and fruitful marriage.
Yes. You don't want to just be married. You want to have a strong and fruitful marriage where you're happy and in love.
In love, I want to see it. I want to see the love in her eyes when I walk by. I want her to see it. It doesn't necessarily need to be anything special. Just she walks by, she will watch me watch her. And I see what that does emotionally, mentally, in a lot of different ways. What we're trying to say is that if you make those types of things, if you intentionally make those things part of your day,
You gotta stop. I knew I wouldn't go last much longer.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So in review, what we want to do is we want to remind you that there is an importance in dating your spouse, continuing to date your spouse. That marriage is the beginning of the relationship, not the end.
That's right.
It is a long distance race, not a sprint. Dating is the process of watering your relationship. We talked about the 3 different types of watering: emotional watering, physical watering, spiritual watering. Dating is the process of ongoing discovery at a greater and deeper levels. And dating is living. So we just want you to remember what we've talked about, that dating is an important process of your marriage life, and that marriage is just the beginning of the relationship and not the end. So we're going to stop right there. I pray that something has been said that has been a blessing to you. And we want you to watch this over and over again. Invite anybody that is thinking about marriage, or those that are already married, maybe having trouble, to view this particular teaching. We know that it'll be a blessing to you. I'm Dr. J.C. Matthews, here with my beautiful wife, Gena Matthews. We love you, and may God keep you until we meet again.